I'll have a Krusty Kast episode
Our original.
where they talk about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy and also pickles.
Daring today, aren't we?
Hi, welcome to the Krusty Cast. This episode, we are talking about the episodes they just mentioned.
Yeah.
Whee! Yeah.
Whee!
I'm Jasmine.
I'm Gwen.
I'm a Maddie.
We can't do this.
I'm Randall. Nobody else picked Randall.
I'm Maddie.
I'm
actually
Jasmine.
Gwen.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Okay,
Now that we've finished swapping bodies, is it time to get started?
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's yeah. Mermaid
Discuss
Man,
the,
Barnacle Boy.
Yeah.
This
The debut
episode.
of some beloved characters and also Barnacle Boy.
Yeah.
So, this episode is the debut of a couple characters. I'm not sure which one. Does anyone know which characters first appear in this episode?
Which characters first appear in Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy? I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot of old fish incidentals, I guess.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All the elderly incidentals.
This is like a safari if you like elderly SpongeBob background characters or old people in general. This
How
is the
many of
debut
the
of
old men in this episode are Old Men Jenkins?
Probably all
I
of
definitely
them.
Noticed the one I always thought was Old Man Jenkins, but apparently isn't.
Yeah, he's a bit darker green in this episode.
Alright, so the episode just starts off, it's this 60s style campy bad superhero cartoon about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and they're these super righteous heroes that fly around. They use their special ring powers to save the ocean from Doug Lawrence villain.
See, and something funny about this is that Mermaid Man is voiced by Tom Kenny in this first part for some reason, and not Ernest Borgnine.
And the announcer,
Tom Kenny.
The announcer is also Doug Lawrence, so that's good.
It's kind of weird because I think in a lot of young Mermaid Man appearances, they really go all over the place with who voices him. Sometimes it's Tom Kenny, sometimes it's Ernest Borgnine. I think once it was Adam West.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And Tom Kenny can do a really good, deep superhero voice when he needs to.
Before we move
so I have one note about this section. Well, two notes, but one that is more important. Okay. Why does Barnacle Boy's outfit have nipples?
Yeah.
That was just the style at the time. Back in the Hanna-Barbera age.
I don't want to move past the villain guy in this segment too.
Yeah,
so
the only thing
I love Luigi.
Why is he tormenting this baby in this empty void?
Well, because he's the bad guy.
And for the longest time,
Thumbs down.
This design is so bizarre with the shell that's clamping into his skin in his big purple outfit with big yellow buttons.
The fact he's human.
Yeah, the fact
he's human-esque.
We can talk about how weird it is that these people are human as the episode progresses, I think. This episode is I have some thoughts on it, lore-wise.
For the longest time, until super recently, I thought that was a shower cap on that guy's head. I didn't notice it was a clam, biting him.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love this design, though. It's so season 4 SpongeBob to me.
A little bit, yeah. I don't know why they make Man Ray the recurring big Mermaid Man villain when they had this guy right off the bat.
Bring this guy back.
Yeah, when's season 14 gonna bring back this guy?
And they're gonna bring back not the terrible tornado, whatever the move is called.
Right.
The something whirlpool.
Not the Raging Whirlpool. Raging Whirlpool.
Tornado.
And SpongeBob and Patrick are loving it.
They love it. They love watching them summon all these real-ass sea creatures of the deep. to assist them.
Yeah.
Which also has some lore implications if we consider the season 10 episode Feral Friends.
Oh, I haven't even seen that one. I don't even know what that one is. This is
I
also
wanna
It's so
scary.
weird. I kind of love it.
Is
I want to
this-
mention Patrick's Barnacle Boy costume here sucks absolute ass.
Yeah,
It's
it is
just
horrible.
Nothing like
wear
him.
a shirt, buddy.
Wear
And
a
also-
shirt. Yeah,
I guess he
I
never
didn't
wears a
really
shirt,
notice
but
it,
he
but
looks
you're
like
right.
he
It's
looks
so
especially
bad.
naked, and the colors
Yeah.
are so wrong. It's like light blue.
He's
It's
got
only
the
light
scarf
blue.
color right, but he doesn't have the trunk color right.
Yeah.
He's a fake fan.
Yeah, SpongeBob's is spot on, but
Well, maybe
Okay,
they
so-
did a few Barnacle Boy redesigns
Patrick-
over the years, like the one where they removed his nipples.
Yeah.
the one where he was in his like shirtless thong era. This
Yeah,
guy
you
feels
know.
like one of those like really cheap like unlicensed Halloween costumes you get at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be on brand for Patrick. I don't think he would put too much effort to his cosplay here.
So
Yeah, you know SpongeBob was like up all
SpongeBob-
night like sewing his mermaid man. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, so SpongeBob and Patrick go
Yeah.
outside, and we cut to Squidward, and I put this in my notes as "whole pussy out Squidward." So that's
I put
gonna
this
be
in my
relevant.
notes. I put this in my notes as slut word. It's a very
Yeah.
intimate angle of Squidward.
We're
And
so
so-
we're so close up to it. They want us to see the whole thing.
The fact that you can't see his shirt, so it looks like he's just naked.
And
It's
so
a very perverse
SpongeBob,
image.
SpongeBob and Patrick start harassing Squidward, because they want to role play and put him in the villain role.
The evil Reflecto.
Yeah, the Reflecto.
So an important question. Is that a real villain, or did SpongeBob and Patrick just make that up?
I feel like it's
I have-
50-50.
I have no way of knowing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, me
Is there a
neither.
season
Does-
13 episode where they talk about Reflecto? Because
Reflecto returns.
SpongeBob versus
Reflecto returns
Reflecto.
They should show like
Reflecto
Reflecto in the
returns
actual
to Defense
show.
Land.
They should have Reflecto like they should show him in the actual Mermaid Man show, and he's just actually just like a bald squid with sunglasses.
God.
That would honestly be perfect. They should
Squidward.
do that.
Squidward doing his own cosplay then. And then they decide to ruin Squid's day.
Yeah, they drop
Because
a
it's
Yeah,
tent
time to
on
ruin
him.
Squid's day.
They just like put a tent around him. It's kind of it's a
We
cute
skipped
little
over the
sequence.
donuts.
There are donuts, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a funny little bit where Patrick keeps eating his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tent looks really comfortable. I'd play under that tent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of the
Wait.
same sort of thing they had in Ripped Pants with the changing room.
Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. SpongeBob and Patrick run back, get chased to their house by Reflecto, and Squidward just like basically Squidward just drops to them that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are living in Bikini Bottom in a retirement home.
Yeah.
Don't question why Squidward just knows this.
But before we move too far past it, there's a really good delivery that Squidward had when SpongeBob and Patrick first show up, where he goes, SpongeBob.
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
But yeah, it's funny that Squidward knows that they're in the retirement home, but SpongeBob and Patrick don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Squidward knows a
interesting.
lot about old people, I guess.
He's a better fan than them.
Yeah,
Yeah, look at his Reflecto cosplay.
Yeah.
spot on. Looks better
Yeah.
than Patrick's Barnacle Boy.
Perfect.
And
So yeah,
Patrick,
SpongeBob and Patrick. Wait,
I was-
if you have anything, what were you saying?
I was just gonna say that Patrick looks super weird in this episode, just like generally.
Yeah.
But you go ahead.
Oh yes, they go to the retirement home and they like are under the impression that Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are undercover there, and
Right.
Mr. Big Pink Guy is like, Oh, well, whatever. He's like another like stock SpongeBob background grump character about it. And they
Yeah.
see Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. They're watching horseradish on TV.
Tartar sauce.
Tartar
They're
sauce.
watching tartar
Tartar
sauce.
sauce. They're watching tartar sauce on TV. And then they find out that actually Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are like old people characters.
Yeah.
And like, I hope you like jokes about old people being senile or old people being grumpy, because that's the rest of the episode.
Yeah, the entire majority of this episode is literally just Ernest Borgnine screaming.
We get like
Ernest-
Barnacle Boy.
I
Ernest
think
is
it's
laying on
funny
the old
that
boys.
even after their retirement, they dress as superheroes and shit.
Yeah.
Like, I get it from a character design perspective, just to make them more recognizable. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to recognize them because of all the other humans in Bikini Bottom.
And so I wrote down in my notes, look how ball he is.
Mermaid Man is very round in this. I don't know if they make him this like spherical consistently in all his appearances, but he's very much like a ball with limbs here.
It's noticeably here. I don't think it's emphasized as much in later episodes with him.
I think he just has straight up like heifer from Rocco's Modern Life proportions in this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
yeah.
we cut to him like right, so SpongeBob and Patrick come in and they mention evil, and of course that's like that is Mermaid
Is this like a
Man's known
PTSD
word.
joke?
Yeah, I think so. And so we cut to Mermaid Man like hanging on to the water fountain, and this guy is not having it. He is like, no. Hold on, let me make a gif of that.
Yeah, it's kind of another profane moment.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble focusing. I'm sorry. There's someone mowing the lawn outside.
Oh.
I'm so
Something
sorry.
Rude. Can't you tell I'm recording a podcast here?
God.
They're being a real SpongeBob right now, and you're just the Squidward minding your own business.
Yeah.
It's
SpongeBob,
true.
I'm
This
trying
is
to
just
start
like
the podcast.
this is just like season 7, the legend of, or is it the curse of Bikini Bottom? I think is what it's called.
SpongeBob looks so scared in that image. What is this?
They all look so unhappy here.
Yeah.
That mower is so loud. Oh my god.
Hmm. Well, luckily
Alright,
I
so-
can't hear it on my end, so it won't
Let's
come out.
stop
with
talking about the
podcast.
lawnmower.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to talk about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy's characterization some more. Mermaid Man is very much just like senile PTSD, I guess.
Yeah.
Not aware of where he is, and that's all his jokes. Barnacle Boy is so like he's pretty much just a second Squidward, at least in this episode, even down to his design
Yeah.
proportions.
Mhm.
That's how
They're
I
also
felt
like-
about him. It's like he's so Squidward coded.
Yes.
He feels just very much like a second, slightly less funny Squidward who's just like, oh, then stop bothering us! Oh,
Yeah,
you old man.
I kind of like him and his like how he plays off Mermaid Man. I like
Mhm.
Barnacle Boy generally. He's no Squidward, but so few
Yeah, I
things
was
can be.
honestly like, I was generally like unimpressed with their characterization in this debut episode.
Yeah, it's a real
I
Sandy
thought they
effect.
like they wore very thin very quickly for me.
That's fair.
Oh yeah, Mr. Pink Guy kicks them out, makes them very scared, and then SpongeBob's like, "Old people are the best. We need to make them be heroes again." And oh,
Yeah,
If
old
there's
guy
some,
jump
like,
scare.
Jurassic Park-ass music cue during it.
Yeah.
I like
got
I like this scene because for some reason Patrick is like mimicking SpongeBob's like
Yeah.
speech in the background.
yeah, this funny scene, cute scene has old man from real life giving a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
SpongeBob joke. Not
And
the same as like
yeah.
hip young old person from the sunbathing episode, but
I'm so
Mhm.
excited when we get to talk about him.
Yeah.
He's the best part of that episode for clarification.
mhm.
And then Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy are having lunch, and It looks tasty. I like mashed potatoes and meatloaf
Yeah.
and broccoli.
Also, yeah, I also want to have some of that meatloaf.
Me too.
And Mermaid Man's like telling the cafeteria worker, give the boy some broccoli.
I love
And
this
Here you
cafeteria
go,
workers. He has such
son.
vibes. Anyway, SpongeBob shows up again and pretty much just tells them more about, like, this reenacts an episode of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy for them. I just want to get
Yeah.
into, like, how confusing of characters they are at this point. Because, like, they show up and they're, like, cartoon characters. They feel like just, like, a Hanna-Barbera show where they have, like, their powers and, like, it feels like just, like, a show from, like, the surface almost, the way it stars these humans and it has, like, these, like, non-sentient sea creatures. But then, like, it turns out, like, they're, like, are retired. They go there and you think that maybe they're, like, just, like, actors on the show, but actually they're just superheroes who, like, did all this stuff, but also it was a TV show.
Yeah, and they reboot the show later, and it's just their
And,
lives
yeah.
now as old people. Well, we'll get to that in a bit, but like,
Yeah.
it is really confusing how these humans
And they're
are.
humans, but they're the size of everyone else.
Yeah,
Like, I know there's
Yeah.
an explanation for them living underwater later on in season 8, but
maybe
in the
they
episode
use-
Mermaid Man Begins, which is probably one of the best season 8 episodes,
maybe they
I
use
like the
freaking belt.
ridiculous origin story they came up with in that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just within this episode at least, the logic is very tenuous, and like, even though this is just a surreal comedy cartoon, it feels very like evident and distracting how like
Yeah.
little sense internally this all makes.
This
I
early
don't know.
into the series,
I kind of liked it.
this early into the series, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy feel like very jarring and like out of place. I think.
Yeah, they feel to me like like an idea someone had for a different cartoon that just got like put into this one, but it doesn't quite fit.
Yeah.
Because it feels like in a lot of other cartoons, like the idea of like these retired superheroes would work a lot better. But like it doesn't here because there's just so many logical inconsistencies.
I feel like every Nicktoon around this time was like mandated to just have like a superhero character in the cast.
Yeah.
Like Rocco had one with a really, really big man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Powdered Toast Man.
Yeah, Powder Toast Man.
So SpongeBob starts acting out this old scene from whatever the show, and
I do-
we get the first appearance of Man Ray here, and he
Oh yeah, classic Man Ray.
yeah.
Classic Man Ray.
Classic.
I also
Man
do
Ray.
love how like the like kind blank smile Mermaid Man gets at points in this episode, including like
Yeah.
right here. It's probably my favorite part about his character here is he just has a really funny face he makes sometimes.
But yeah, they also mentioned Atlantis too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think they met David Bowie?
Yeah.
I think they did. I think
I
Mermaid
think
Man
they
knows
did,
David
yeah.
Bowie.
They met David Bowie.
And he starts sucking on the glass.
And he starts sucking on the glass and it's ruining this old man's lunch. Anyway, SpongeBob just kind of gets kicked out again, and it's kind of just a repeat of the first scene in the,
I don't
with
know.
them.
I kind of
we
like
get,
the
like-
whole bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the like
Yeah.
you made the bride bit is pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that.
It's pretty much just like an escalated version of the first scene, which is like all right, I guess. The jokes here are like funnier.
Forever as a kid, I couldn't understand what Mermaid Man was saying. It was just gibberish to me. Like, I just couldn't make it out. But now,
By the
like,
Well,
powers
that's a
vested
skill
in
issue
me.
for Kid Maddie,
Yeah.
because that's like the funniest joke in the episode.
absolutely.
You may kiss the bride.
You couldn't speak geriatric. Oh,
Well,
but
Gary,
I'm married.
I got married. I'm married. Yeah.
And then
Wow, I can't believe this Truth or Square foreshadowing.
this is foreshadowing a lot, really.
Mhm.
Man Ray, Atlantis, David Bowie, Truth or Square.
And we get our first appearance of not Old Man Jenkins. Here he is.
A lot of familiar and unfamiliar old
Yeah.
people in this episode. We see like that like weird yellow fish old lady a lot with like
Oh yeah.
scraggly teeth. Looks kind of like a lemon. She's very prominent in the background in this episode. And we
She's
get the
good.
climax of the episode where Patrick and SpongeBob put on a little play.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to sleep in their rocking chairs outside. They're living the life, frankly. And Patrick's just not wearing any fucking pants here.
Oh my
A
god.
very pussy out episode.
I
Well,
like
he is a
that
criminal.
every time it just plants the idea in my head that Patrick will wear either pants or shirts, but he wouldn't wear both at the same time. You gotta pick one with him.
Not until the Patrick Star Show. Wait, hold on. Let me double check his design in the Patrick Star Show because I think he wears both.
Yeah,
He has
does
both
wear
there.
both.
He has his shirt.
Maybe getting kicked out of his house changed his view on that. And it's like, it's either pants or a shirt. I'm not doing both.
I also kind of love SpongeBob's like
willing to
lady
do
disguise
neither.
here, where he's like a
Yeah.
Southern belle.
Yeah. And so we cut to Mermaid Man, and he's having the best time of his life. He's sleeping. Hold on. Yeah, there we go.
With his eyes open.
Yeah, with his eyes open.
Cyber
Yeah.
alert.
And SpongeBob
Barnacle
just-
Boy. Yeah,
just
at this point,
tossed
Barnacle Boy
about it.
fucking snaps at this. He's had
Yeah.
enough, and he just like tells Mermaid Man, "We gotta kill these guys."
Well,
Yeah.
they also paint his invisible boatmobile.
Oh yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
the straw. They had to throw like an invisible jet joke for all the Wonder Woman fans in the audience. Also, this stupid fucking gross up close up part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why does he look like that in the close up?
It's
Mermaid
because
Man
old
and
people are
Barnacle Boy,
weird and gross.
They're disgusting in this episode. I don't think they're ever this disgusting going forward.
No.
Like I said, this is a good episode if you like jokes about how weird and gross old people are.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway, they go to fucking kill SpongeBob and Patrick, and then like it's like the scene plays out weirdly to me with like their powers like work pretty well. It seems like I don't know if it's
Yeah.
supposed to be the joke that their powers don't work that well, or that like SpongeBob and Patrick are just immune to them because like SpongeBob's a sponge, so he can absorb the water ball, and then they just think the tornado is fun because they're stupid. I don't know if the joke is the powers don't work, or if SpongeBob and Patrick are just stupid and don't realize that they're being attacked, or whatever.
it may be both, and by doing
Yeah.
both, neither of them really come across well, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There, yeah. I do like Mermaid Man saying, "Go nuts!" when Barnacle Boy grabs the rings.
It's like
Yeah.
a
I think
callback
it's
to
a
the
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chekhov's donuts.
Mhm.
And then and then Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy do their final smash where they summon all of the old people to come and attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, this confirms that like in the cartoon the like sea creatures they were summoning are the same as the sea creatures that are the characters in the show. Which like just raises further questions for me.
Well, they
Yeah.
were hit by Neptune's moon from feral friends, and it turned them all into cartoon characters. Simple
I
as
guess
that.
I guess that's the lore. I don't know that because I haven't watched season 10, but I guess there's a lore explanation
Watch
a decade
Worthy
from now.
Brains.
Until we get to
Oh.
that point, let's just assume it's the bomb theory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's bomb theory.
And
Anyway, yeah.
they're escorted off the premises.
I'm like, we did it! And then the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy realize they actually, yeah, they're right. They do want to be superheroes. This is fun and good exercise. And so we get like the revival show where they just sit around playing checkers.
And this pretty long bit about Mermaid Man not using the phone right.
Yeah. It's a very sleepy ending gag.
Yeah,
And it kind of like kind of defeats the point of the episode being like they realize they want to be superheroes again, but then they like still are just dumb old people. And then like I don't know, it's kind of a salient point on revivals, but they weren't really at that point in the 90s yet.
so is the original Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy like a reality show then? Because like
So
I guess
It's so confusing to me. Is it like an animated adaptation of things they actually did, or like what?
God.
I get that this is a cartoon, but like, God, the logic of this episode internally is just so confusing to me, and it doesn't feel like the jokes that come from it are funny enough to like justify it for me. Because most of the
Yeah,
jokes are just old people are weird and senile or grumpy.
this episode I think has a lot of good moments, but this is probably one of the most like low energy sort of episodes we've had so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
sure.
kind of how I felt. Like, I think that overall it was paced pretty fine. I don't think like any scene dragged on longer than it needed to, but I feel like it could have had more energy
Yeah, there's not like
and like the
much
joke
going
writing
on.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So, what are our final thoughts? I guess
We breezed through that one.
Evil.
Yeah.
evil.
Bit of evil. You know, not too much.
Evil is that's kind of one of those jokes you think is really funny as a kid because it's just a character saying something over and over. But then you watch it as an adult and you're
Yeah.
just kind of like, first off, is this kind of just like a PTSD joke? Second off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
It's just a character shouting for a long period of time, and as a
Yeah.
kid, that kills you.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna keep this guy around for the small middle segment just because I like how he really does not want to be on the bottom half of his body. And Mermaid Man's there for a second.
But he always returns.
Yeah, he always comes back.
This
Uh,
GIF is more amusing than this episode.
Yeah. Alright, so our middle segment is...
Wait,
Well,
we didn't give a
Jasmine.
yeah.
rating.
Do the
Yeah.
Oh,
rating.
shit, right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I originally had this one at a 5, but after talking it through, I bumped it down to a 4. Sorry, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. I hope you understand.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I had it at a 6, but after this, I'm bumping it down to a 4.
Jeez,
Or sorry,
it's
not
destroyed.
a 4. 5. Yeah, a 4. So, eh. Can't talk today. I just woke up. There we go.
I can't
Yeah.
talk because of the lawnmower, and also the lawnmower is making my dog whine now, so that's 2 distractions.
Yeah.
Not great podcasting hours over here in the Jasmine household.
No. Well, next week
I
will be
gave this-
better.
I gave this episode a
Yeah.
3. I thought it was very subpar. It had a few good and entertaining moments, but a lot of it was just like, what are you doing here?
I gave it a 4. It's yeah, some good jokes, but a lot of it, I'd say 80% of this episode is just Ernest Borgnine yelling. And if that's for
Yeah.
you, then you'll enjoy this one.
I'm gonna
If
bump
you're
it
like
down to a 4,
fucking-
actually.
If you're Mike from Red Letter Media and you just love old people being weird and you think that's the funniest thing in the world, this is like your 7 out of 7 episode. If you're most other people, if you revisit this episode with an open heart, you'll probably be a little disappointed.
Never meet your heroes.
Literally. Never meet SpongeBob's heroes.
No.
Shush.
But we promise, later Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes are better.
Hopefully.
All right,
I liked
so
the motion picture still.
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the best one. I'm excited for when we get to season 4, just so we can talk about that one.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Alright. Middle segment time.
Yay.
Time for our
we,
famous
we
middle.
don't have a lot for the middle segment this time.
Yeah, we're kind of
Other
pressed for
than
time.
to promote my webcomic. That's
What?
right. I'm bringing back Goober Grove. It's something I started like 3 years ago and kept up for like half a year, and then Blazeball came back and I kind of stopped being able to keep up with it. And then it was on like a 1.5 year long break, but now I'm bringing it back for good, I think.
Oh.
Right, it's on TV Grove.
What? When?
I think I encouraged people to do that.
Put
I forget if
put
I
that
made
up on
the
our
TV
sign.
show's page or like someone else did.
Put that up on our sign.
I know for sure I've edited the TV show's page.
I remember when you made the your mileage may vary page, and it was just the scrappy Rosco.
Yeah, River Grove is a fun webcomic. It's about little cartoon people in their little cartoon town, and they have silly conversations and escapades.
Yeah.
We
It's
got
true.
Raslin. She's gay. She's like an artist, and she's like, she's a little melancholy, but she like has a beautiful soul. There's Roscoe who loves crime, and there's Georgetta. She's from the moon. Those are their core character traits.
I mean, yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And there's also Ziggy, everyone's favorite character, who works at the convenience store.
It's another Ziggy torture episode.
Yeah, there's a. Are there any hillbillies in Goober Grove?
Can we
There
petition?
should be.
There should
Yeah, can we
be.
petition for a hillbilly character who knows karate?
If I can get 50 of people watching this podcast to follow Goober Grove on Twitter.com, Jasmine will add 5 new hillbilly characters.
They will show up every issue in the background, slowly getting closer every issue.
Make your Narlene redesign canon to Goober Grove is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think Roscoe's favorite episode would be Trench Billies. It's a great webcomic. It's full of all kinds of fun scenarios, and I am jealous of your writing because the
Yeah.
writing in
You?
Goober Grove is really good.
Yeah, sometimes I go back and read some of these comics and go, man, I'm funny, actually. I'm the funniest person there's ever been.
When are we gonna get an episode of Goober Grove where Roscoe meets his favorite elderly heroes, but they're not what he expects them to be?
Or when are we going to get the episode where Ziggy forgets the pickles, which will segue us to the second episode?
Woo!
Read Goober Grove.
That's a lot of bubbles.
So we just all wanted to do the bubble transition this time.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
All right, buddy, your time's
Alright,
up. Out of here.
alright. We're on pickles. Debut of fan favorite character, pot-bellied orange fish.
Yes! I was
Yes.
so excited
Good
to
old
see him.
incidental 70. I think
Yeah.
that's his number.
Yeah.
The one
course
who's
you'd know it,
naked.
but-
The one
Yeah.
who's naked and says,
Well-
"Hey, SpongeBob's back."
We'll get
No,
to him.
that's spoilers. We aren't there yet. We start off with different incidentals.
Yeah.
Ordering at the Krusty
Yeah.
Krusty Krab.
That should be an episode where Mr. Krabs starts a taxi service.
They could have like Danny DeVito guest star because he was in that show about taxis. Anyway, we get the scene establishing that Squidward hates people.
Yeah.
Like give us like the classic like daring today, aren't we? Meme.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love Squidward just introducing it. The intonation on his voice. Welcome to the Krusty Krab. My
He-
name is Squidward.
He's just so
Very
impatient.
condescending.
He's just like me when I'm on Register, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is such a good scene. It's some very good like just Squidward playing off background characters and being fun and sarcastic, and also like this is what you wish you could do if you were a cashier. I
Yeah.
also love the guy who's like, yeah, I get some extra salt. Can you check if you have some? Like, he has like this weird like
Yeah.
brawny
Yeah.
pathetic voice.
No.
No. And he gets like
Anyway,
mad.
this also establishes that SpongeBob is very good at Krabby Patties, and it's another famous SpongeBob making Krabby Patties in silly ways scene.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love how they
God,
sort of
that guy
just set up the correct order for making a Krabby Patty here, just so
yeah, that's
you
a
can see
really
it get.
it's a really
Yeah.
good plot bit right
Good,
there.
good storytelling because it feels very natural. And also,
Yeah.
scrawny, pathetic salt guy also ordered so many Krabby Patties I didn't even notice.
I
Are
assume
those all
he's
for
ordering
him?
for a group. I assume he's ordering for like a family
I
or
want to
something.
I want to assume he's ordering for himself because I don't think anyone could ever love this guy enough to eat with him.
I also noticed he didn't pay for those Krabby Patties. Does he just pay for the meal after?
It's locked off. They're all upset for about $2. This guy just took like a dozen Krabby Patties for himself.
God.
And so in walks the most famous character from SpongeBob. It's the most beloved one. Everybody knows him and loves him. The one, the only.
It's him,
Bubble
comic book
Bass.
guy, but not yet.
Yeah,
Yeah. He's like kind of interesting in this, and now he's not quite comic book guy.
Yeah,
He-
he's
We
he's
can
more
get
of a
into
kind of-
that
critic.
as we
Yeah.
discuss it. Yeah.
yeah.
It's like more of this like pompous air to him. He's like,
Mhm.
oh well, I would like. It feels like when he
Do
gets
we have
revived
to-
later on,
Do
he
we
just
have to
becomes
pull
stock.
up the? Let me just pull up the transcript so I can read off
Yeah,
his
the order.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like Bubble Bass in
Does
this episode is really good because like he's just some know-it-all who gets his kicks
Yeah.
by like just making people feel bad.
he's just
Yeah.
a jerky, smarmy
Yeah,
know-it-all.
he takes
feels
his
like-
double triple bossy deluxe on a raft, 4x4 animal style, extra shingles with a shimmy and a squeeze, light axle grease, make it cry, burn it, and let it swim.
We serve food here, sir.
Yeah, it feels like he's a lot more like he has more interesting characterization than like I think a lot of people remember him for, and I think that he's used for later on, where he's just kind of like stock nerd, neckbeard, comic book guy character.
Yeah.
They don't even use
I kind of
him.
wish we got this side of Bubble Bass more. Like, I get them wanting to have that stock nerd character. That's whatever.
I don't.
That's fair.
I mean,
But then who's gonna be the nostalgia critic?
oh lord. I do wish, yeah, that he was a more consistent presence in the show because SpongeBob, like having his own rival, like Plankton would eventually
Yeah.
become SpongeBob's rival and not Mr. Krabs as the show went on, but
I
SpongeBob
mean,
having his
I
own
still think
Plankton
Plankton
type.
is Mr. Krabs' rival first and
Yeah.
foremost.
I mean, I suppose, but they do kind of share Plankton as the show goes on. But like, SpongeBob having his own like dedicated arch nemesis would have like added a lot going forward.
Yeah,
It's interesting here how he
it's
like
weird that they just this episode seems to build him up so much, and like he gets a couple very small appearances in this season, and then he disappears completely until season 8.
Like literally just entirely gone, not to be used at all.
Yeah.
Like not even
Yeah.
as a background character, he's just not in the
Well-
show for
well,
7 seasons.
Not true. He has a non-speaking role in a couple of episodes in season 1.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah,
We'll
but
get
I
to
already
that.
mentioned those in Fun and Fools in April,
Yeah.
where he's like recolored.
Oh.
yeah, he disappears off the face of the earth
And
So- I
after
wanna-
season 1.
I want to bring up something I like about this scene, which is the noise Squidward makes when he gets smacked out of the register. It's like,
Yeah.
like what direction do they give for that? Like, okay, buddy, you gotta make a sound that's like, you're getting knocked out of the like, yeah. I love it.
all right, Roger. This is what's going to happen to Squidward. Can you do this for us?
Bubble Bass just throws Squidward around so much in
Yeah.
this episode.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I like the confrontation that SpongeBob and Bubble Bass have.
They
yeah.
Where
recognize
Bubble
each other
Bass
and
is
have
like-
beef together.
I
But also
hear
he,
you.
like- He doesn't
ahead.
seem to like know SpongeBob from being a fry cook because he's like, "Oh, I hear you make a good Krabby Patty." So like, how do they know each
Yeah.
other and why do they hate each other if it's not like? But
Well,
also
they
he
met
doesn't.
at Camp Coral.
I guess they met
they're
at Camp
definitely-
Coral. I mean,
They're
I-
definitely
I-
gonna do that.
I feel like enough time
Right.
has passed where SpongeBob has been doing this job long enough to where he's built up this reputation. And I'm sure they've heard each other because Bubble Bass is also pretty notorious, it seems.
It might be. It might just be that. It might just be the reputation preceding them
I hear
Yeah.
as
you're
the best
kind
fry
of
cook and the
picky.
best guy who hates food, the best
Yeah.
critic from Ratatouille. I don't like food.
I don't like food.
He really doesn't like food when you think about it.
So
Anyway, yeah,
Bulbass,
he
yeah. Who
he eats
wants
the
to talk
burger.
about this?
No, he needs to. We have
Oh
to
yeah,
Yeah,
fill in
this
the
is the
plot until we
Yeah.
important.
get to it.
yeah. The
Yeah, he
plot.
eats the This
Shit.
is like the crux of the episode. He eats
Duh.
the Krabby Patty, and he's like, "There's no pickles." And then SpongeBob's like, "Oh,
And
you know what? I don't know." And then we get the famous scene where Bubble Bass like walks up to Mr. Krabs, but like Squidward's standing next to him, so he throws Squidward out of frame.
I mean,
Bubble-
before that, I want to mention Bubble Bass saying "you lose."
yeah,
Yeah,
I noticed
You
that.
lose.
What is
And then he
that?
does his laugh.
Like a competition. It's such a
Does
fun
Bubble
characterization.
Bass does Bubble Bass do that laugh in the later episodes?
I don't know.
God.
If he doesn't, then he should.
Yeah. So
And then-
I love when characters like have this thing where they like treat everything as an inherent contest they have to win, including like
Yeah.
ordering a fast food burger.
And then Bubble
Yeah.
Bass 8 Crazy Nights' Squidward out of the frame.
Can someone please draw? If you're listening to this podcast, can you draw that? Can
And then he demands his refund from Mr. Krabs.
yeah.
Which
I
raises
like-
an important question.
Huh.
Was Bubble Bass just doing all of this to get free pickles?
Definitely.
Like, yeah, I'm
Specifically,
pretty sure
free
the implication
pickles.
is that, I feel like the implication is he does this just to get free food. But I guess he also gets to stockpile pickles.
Yeah.
Also, $2 is like so cheap for a burger, especially like a few decades later.
Yeah.
Especially from Mr. Krabs.
Whoa.
Yeah,
It-
$2?
and that is a pretty
Huh.
like a full burger too. That is not
This
a
guy's-
$2 burger.
This guy's got the green.
He's got the fungus among us.
Yeah.
Also, it's interesting the screenshots they posted from the menu are Krabby Patty. The patty is spelled Pattie.
Yeah.
And also there's salad, which contradicts Bossy Boots. So I hope
Yeah.
someone got like their legs broken for that blunder.
Bubble Bass voice, I hope someone got fired for that blunder.
I hope somebody got comedically thrown out of frame for that blunder. And
Oh yeah, Mr. Krabs does not want to give his $2 bill back.
I'll give you a glass of water. A dozen glasses of water. I'll even put ice in it.
And SpongeBob's just like freaking out because he
Yeah.
could have sworn he put those pickles in, and Mr. Krabs is pissed at him and throws him back to the kitchen, tells him to get back to work. But SpongeBob can't get back to work because he's so distraught he like completely forgets how to make a burger.
I love
He's
that
just like-
this is the sort of thing SpongeBob gets distraught about.
Yeah.
He's
mean,
just
it's
so
so-
passionate about his job as a fry cook that when he makes a small mistake,
It
I
just
mean, it
throws
is
him
from
off.
Bubble Bass who makes a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
His
like
brain is so weird.
I do think it's a pretty good plot beat that SpongeBob's been pretty much spotless on his record, but this
Yeah.
one perceived error just like completely throws him off. That seems pretty realistic, I think.
Yeah, it's very fun SpongeBob characterization that drives this episode, which I think is a big strength of it.
Yeah,
also get-
absolutely.
The whole like scene, like shoe, then bun, then ketchup. No, I feel like the scene could have felt like kind of aimless, but I feel like it works well. I feel like it has
I
enough
feel-
like energy and breezes by fast enough.
Yeah, I don't think this
Yeah,
episode
I-
really has any wasted parts to it. Well, that's not true, but we'll get to that in a bit. But for the most part, I feel like it's a pretty tight episode.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so after this, after SpongeBob can't make a burger, Mr. Krabs comes in and graciously, in a not he wouldn't do this later in the season.
Yeah, this
or,
was like really out of character for him.
I mean,
yeah, he gives
even
him the
within
day
the
off.
episode, it's a very big like change of how he was acting. Because just a second ago, he was like crying over having to give up $2 and mad at SpongeBob. And now he's just suddenly like, "Oh, you should just leave, take a day
Yeah.
off."
I think
And-
his rage subsided a bit to where he's like, okay, there's something actually wrong with SpongeBob here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's very interesting, nuanced Krabs depiction that we don't see that often, especially later on. Also, we get the first instance of Squidward having to cook.
We got Squidward.
They're really gonna
So,
do this to him.
this episode is really fun, and how it just throws Squidward around. He gets his like
Yeah.
funny bit being like the wise ass guy at the start of the episode, and then he just gets like tossed around by Bubble Bass and forced to like Krabby Patties on fire.
He has to run the
This
Krusty
is
Krab for
such a
3 days.
Squidward torture porn.
He does have to run the Krusty Krab by himself for 3 days. You're right. And something I noticed in this episode that I want to bring up is that SpongeBob says, "I am so confused" twice in the exact same way, and it's really
Yeah.
jarring to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that.
I am so
No.
confused. MP3.
Please add that to the soundboard. Whenever there's like a plot that doesn't make sense. Anyways, SpongeBob goes home.
Yeah.
And he's
I-
just completely out of it. He's trying his best to remember how to do this, but it's gotten in his head.
Mhm.
Yeah, he goes to maybe he can sleep it off, but then he like doesn't know how to get into bed. I guess is the joke here.
Yeah, this is the one scene where I feel like is kind of. It didn't need to be this long. I think maybe
Yeah,
3 and we would have got it.
Yeah, I feel like the joke isn't strong enough to justify it being like 7 variations of the joke.
Yeah.
I wanna mention SpongeBob has a better sleep schedule than like all of us. He goes to bed at 9 and he wakes up at 7. That's like
I couldn't imagine
Well-
doing that.
That's like
No.
my ideal sleep schedule. Like
Yeah.
I
So
try.
those
That's what I shoot for, but usually I don't fall asleep until 10 at the earliest, and
yeah.
even
Oh.
that's being
Usually-
generous.
Mhm.
So the collage is looking pretty bare so far, I think.
I think a lot of the
Isn't a
good
very-
stuff is in the latter half of the episode.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fair.
yeah. It's also this episode. I have some thoughts on how it isn't like that active of an episode, even though I don't think that's like a bad thing. It feels like it's a
Yeah.
lot more like character and dialogue driven than like
Yeah,
visual and
I
gag
agree.
driven.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah,
And-
SpongeBob
But I
wakes up
like
and
having a character-driven episode like this one. Get into
Yeah.
SpongeBob's psyche.
SpongeBob wakes up and shoves Gary into the clock.
Well, he doesn't wake up. He's up all night.
Oh
not
yeah, no, yeah.
sleeping.
I mean,
He
he gets
almost
up. He
had
gets,
it.
he gets out from under the bed and then shoves
Yeah.
Gary into his clock, and then that's just kind of his life.
Mhm.
Poor
Mr.
Gary.
Krabs
Like this
stops
now.
by to check on him, and now he just lives in utter like discord.
I-
Not the
I
kind
mean,
we're
first
recording the
we're at
podcast
Krusty
in.
Krab, and Squidward is sucking gas.
Oh yeah,
He is
Yeah.
we get that first. Squidward,
being
you
absolutely
burnt my
cringe
cake.
fail. Patties are done.
Patties are done.
just like-
yeah.
Piles of ash.
All perfectly the same piles of ash.
I always misremember my sandwich is a grilled boot being this episode, but that's a different episode where Squidward sucks
Yeah.
at being
I
a
think it's
Yeah,
because
like,
SpongeBob pulls out a boot earlier when he's like before
Yeah.
he gets the day off.
yeah.
They kind of combine those two jokes later on.
And nobody's having it. Squidward's just like terrible.
Yes. Squidward burned his
You
shake.
burnt my shake. I love this guy. I love this guy's delivery so much. It's so classic.
He
He
burnt my
burnt my
shake.
shake.
A lot of this episode has a lot of funny, just like NPC line deliveries.
And and
I love
making
that that's what you're calling the incidentals now.
It's shorter than Bikini Bottomite. We get a rare sighting of a paramedic scary fish outside of his
Yeah.
natural habitat.
Coming out of Greenfish Defense Land.
Yeah.
And Mr. Krabs making the problem worse. He leaves work on the clock, leaving
Whoa.
Squidward by himself to go get SpongeBob back.
Wait, what the why is he so tall in this Hold on.
Huh.
He's very high up here.
There's one other scene in the episode where I noticed that SpongeBob was very tall. I think it's like coming up. I hope we didn't miss it because I thought it was very funny.
And here we have the first episode where Mr. Krabs actually plays like a proactive role in the story.
Yeah, he goes to
Yeah.
his worker's house.
Probably the most crab-centric episode since maybe Help Wanted, and probably even more than that.
It's
Mhm.
it's probably the first one where we see Mr. Krabs outside of the Krusty Krab.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're gonna get a lot more of this once we get to Squeaky Boots in a couple weeks.
Mhm.
That's a pretty big Krabs episode.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get a few pretty big ones in season 1. Arg is still there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, this
right,
time didn't
Arg.
put any of it towards the front, so it made him feel a lot more elusive, and this is like the first time he's getting like real spotlight.
Hmm.
And it's pretty good as like a first crowd spotlight, considering this is one of his like nicest episodes.
Yeah.
And even then, he's still doing it for like selfish gain. He's still doing it so he
Yeah.
doesn't lose money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he visits SpongeBob, and SpongeBob is talking out of order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's living in
Yeah.
absolute
I
hell.
wrote down some of his dialogue
Do
here.
you how do?
Mr. Krabs, hello. Do you how do? I anything can't do right since because pickles.
And Mr. Krabs is like, something's not right here. And then he goes to the kitchen where SpongeBob is nailing down bread, which I always
Yeah.
thought was funny.
I love
I wonder
that
what he thinks
gag.
he's trying to do.
And just boiling at a whole ass realistic bike on his stove.
I love when SpongeBob just walks straight through the door,
Yeah.
making a perfectly SpongeBob-shaped hole.
Mhm. You get some funny little bits out of SpongeBob's absolute decayed mental state.
And Mr. Krabs is like really weirdly patient here because he's like willing to stay with SpongeBob for as long as it takes him to get like his magic back.
Mhm.
And
Yeah, they
leaving
just kind of sit
Squidward
around.
alone for 3 days.
It's gonna sit around for what ends up being like 3 days, and SpongeBob just kind of looks at ingredients on a mat.
Yeah, those ingredients had to be pretty bad by
Mhm.
and it's
Writing down Krabby Patties are full of preservatives on my lore board.
I mean you're not wrong.
Yeah, they
know
gotta
what's
be.
going on.
If they're more preservatives, then that means he has to buy less of them.
That's
Yeah.
how he can store so many in the patty vault.
God, yeah. It all comes together. Anyway, SpongeBob eventually like snaps. It's like, I can't do it! I can't! And then he just, as he's ranting, just makes a perfect Krabby Patty.
I feel that. I feel like I've been in that exact same place a few times where I'm like, I can't fucking do this, and then I do it perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really this episode
Some-
really is just about like not psyching yourself out.
Yeah, sometimes your brain just gets hung up on stuff, but actually, if you just like let yourself do it, you can do it. That's the moral
Yeah.
of Pickles.
Yeah.
Also, Bubble Bass is an asshole who likes to put things in his tongue. That's also the moral of Pickles.
Yeah.
And I really like this net scene. It's got a lot of like good atmosphere to it with the music and like how it's mostly
Yeah, I love the-
dialogueless for the majority
I
of
love
it.
the I love the Western vibes. We got like two sort of like
Yeah.
genre parodies in a row here. We got superheroes, now we get Western.
And then
And
we
of course,
get yeah.
we get the funny joke where like Squidward's like covered in ash and SpongeBob like sprays him with the fire extinguisher. It's all like wordless.
And then we get
Yeah.
the most iconic character.
Ash
Hey,
Weird
Rosco.
name. weird naked orange incidental fish who disappeared after season 2 and then was brought back recently.
Yeah,
Of course
makes a
I
lot
was
of
gonna
sense.
say, and was brought back recently. That's fucking
Yeah.
everything in these episodes.
At least once per episode, I feel like you say that.
His
Yeah.
name is Hey SpongeBob's back.
Have they brought back the weird, like, shrimp background character with, like, the warbly mouth?
Yep.
I hope so.
Yeah, can we talk about
Oh.
just how fucked up the incidentals in this episode look? Like in the
Oh my
first scene,
God.
there's this one fish with like the really weird mouth and the eyes like really low on the side of his head.
Like, green naked toad guy.
God.
That I never noticed green naked toad guy.
He's, like, so prominent, but I feel like your brain filters him out because he's so, like, out of place.
Yeah.
You're too taken aback by Hey SpongeBob's back guy to
Yeah,
notice
he's
the
that
other
guy's the
weird
real star.
naked fish that's in this scene.
God.
Anyways,
SpongeBob's
then
back.
immediately, Bubble Bass, like, his aggro is drawn again. He just spawns in.
Yeah.
I hear talk that SpongeBob is back.
How did he hear that? That was like 2 minutes ago.
It's funny.
He's just been waiting outside
Yeah,
this
I like
whole
to
time.
I like to think he's been so petty that he like checks in every so often. Yep, he's still
like
gone. I did this.
he's like checking someone who's blocked him on Twitter on an alt account.
Oh my god, he would.
I got him to
Would.
deactivate.
Okay, then SpongeBob makes another patty for him, and he's like, "Oh, still no pickles."
See?
Oh, yeah, and grosses everyone out with his gross chewed up food.
And Mr. Krabs is really sweaty in this scene, by the way.
I
He's-
just
that's a
like
lot.
SpongeBob's rower.
Rah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
rawr. It's kind of
Rawr.
cunty of him.
Yeah, Rar XD SpongeBob.
That means I love you in Dinosaur.
And something that I want to bring up is the first appearance of weird window inside of the Krusty Krab window that a plant is
Oh.
near with the crate.
Oh yeah. There it is.
Something that's always stuck with me ever since I was a kid. Like the weird porthole window that's in the big Krusty Krab window.
I've never noticed this.
There it is.
Oh yeah, I noticed that right as you pointed it out. There it is.
Yeah.
That is weird.
And then SpongeBob does his Ace Attorney contradiction.
Mhm.
He realizes
Where he
the
noticed
pickles
something.
were under his tongue the whole time.
Just grabs his tongue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't grab Bubble Bass's tongue.
There's the pickles from last time.
I like that he knows. I like that he knows that they're the pickles from last time. I think that's
Yeah, I like
funny.
how he kept the pickles there for this whole 3 days.
What
Doesn't
is
watch
this
anything.
guy's deal?
Why did he eat that lady's car keys? What does that joke even mean?
I want to know what. There's so much implied history with this dude. He has
And-
issues.
So
And
speaking
then
of
he runs
incidentals-
away.
And there's my
He runs
ride.
away, never to be seen again until season 8, and then they just started using him constantly.
I
Look at
I
this
He
guy.
just
love.
became nerd
I
character.
love this
Yeah,
guy.
it's a weird shrimp with a fucked up mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought that guy back also because why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bubble Bass. Oh yeah, we get another famous Mr. Krabs 3 cheers for SpongeBob scene.
Yeah.
And I
And
love
then-
Squidward's like half-hearted cheering.
Ellico's like, "Oh boy,
Whoop-de-doo.
What do you know?
funny." And
Yep, that's
SpongeBob
right.
tries cheering on Squidward, and Squidward's like genuinely happy, but everyone fucking hates Squidward because he sucks ass. And the episode,
Boo.
Yeah, we get
the
the
episode
we
ends
get,
with someone telling Squidward he stinks.
yeah we get
Yeah.
the boo
Boo,
you
you
stink
stink.
.mp3.
Oh, I have it in another server. Oh, I don't have the MP3 for it.
Oh,
That's fine.
Ah,
I'll get it on next week.
In
When
case we
it's
get
too
another
late.
ScumbBob episode.
Yeah.
yeah. Next week is like Hall Monitor and Jellyfish Jam. Are either of those the scumbobs?
Jellyfish Jim, I remember being kind of boring, but maybe it'll surprise me.
They're
Oh,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of whatever
Jellyfish
episodes in my.
Jam. That's gonna be a 5-minute segment. We're only gonna have like 5 minutes worth of things to talk about with that
Nothing
one.
happens in that episode for real. We're gonna need a big
Like-
middle segment.
Yeah.
So that was
Well, in the
Pickle.
middle segment, we'll review every Goober Grove comic ever.
This is gonna slowly
Yeah.
turn into a Goober Grove podcast. What did we all think of Pickles?
I like this one a lot. I think it's pretty. Like, I wouldn't say it's a perfect episode. I agree that there's a couple segments, mainly the nighttime one, that are a little long, but for the most part, I think it's really fun. I think it has some good character writing and atmosphere. It's a fun character exploration for SpongeBob. I just really like it. It's good.
This is the second episode in a row where we've had an episode with a really slow SpongeBob trying to go to sleep scene.
You're right.
Yeah.
So make a note of that.
Yeah, I really like this one, just in general. Like, it's interesting in retrospect because, like, Bubble Bass never appears again, but, like, if he did, this would be a really, really good, like, introduction episode to him, I think.
It's so
Right?
messed
Like-
up that they didn't use like as a
Yeah.
kid during mid-season SpongeBob, which I was in my SpongeBob sucks now phase. I was like, why the hell didn't they keep using Bubble Bass? And then, like, a weird genie answered my wish.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had the same experience.
It's just
Uh,
really funny that such a seemingly prominent character nowadays is just like it came from one episode in the first season with no other reference to him ever again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when he came back and started just being the comic book guy, fat nerd character. I was like, oh wait, why did I want this character back so bad? He kind of sucks. But now rewatching this episode, it's like, no, he actually was kind of a funny and interesting character
Yeah,
Yeah.
in his first
good,
appearance.
he could have been a good foil to SpongeBob, but
He could have been so good.
now
They
he's the
should put me.
nostalgia
I
critic.
should be the showrunner of SpongeBob in seasons 15 and 16, and I'll
gonna
do
be
character derailment for Bubble Bass.
I feel
I
like
think-
that would be impossible.
Yeah.
I think they should hire all of us to be the showrunner as a collective. This is going to be our resume we submit to Nickelodeon.
Be a lot more hillbillies who know karate in this one.
So yeah, I gave it I think it was pretty good. I gave it a 6 out of 7.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah, I gave it a 5 out of 7. I thought it was a hashtag good episode. I thought it was interesting how this episode has a different focus, I feel from a lot of SpongeBob episodes, especially later on, where there aren't that many standout gags. There are a bunch of funny lines, and I don't think there's any parts of the episode where I super laughed at. But also I think it's more compelling as a story and character study of SpongeBob and
Yeah, I
a
agree.
plot line
Yeah.
than anything else, which is something you don't really get that much with this show. And I think this episode is good for it. It's a very solid episode, and
I
Bubble
think
Bass
so.
is a very enjoyable one-off character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I also gave it a 5. I don't think it's it's not the funniest one. It's not even really the most memorable one aside from Bubble Bass. But it is a good little character study for SpongeBob and also Mr. Krabs and how their whole relationship is,
Yeah.
at least at this point in time. I just think it's a really solid one.
Alright.
Here in the
Yeah.
studio, we've got Squidward
I guess
being
that's
sad
it.
with
Yeah,
his aura.
there he is. So,
There's
He's
anything
so
else we
sad
want to
about.
say?
He's so sad about how much he got thrown around in this episode.
Anything else we want to say before we end?
What's
I have
next week's
nothing.
episode? We've said them, but we
Oh
need
yeah.
to.
Yeah, jellyfish,
Hall Monitor.
jellyfish jam.
Hall Monitor and
And Hall
Jellyfish Jam.
Monitor,
Yep.
yeah.
Yay! Look forward to
Get
that.
ready for
Woo!
another mediocre
Woo!
episode about jellyfish, and also
Mm.
I don't even remember Hall Monitor that well outside of the Standing Menacingly, so that's gonna be fun.
It's
I mean,
our
that
second
raises the
Mrs. Puff
question.
episode.
That raises the question: are there any good, like, centered around jellyfish episodes? I don't think there are.
I mean, there's the Kevin episode.
No.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right.
Oh yeah.
There is the Kevin episode.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well,
All
then
right.
we end up hating that one, when we get to it next year.
I guess we're done. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Ah!
Uh,
I